Hello, my Teaserking family. I'm doing a second video. I did my football one already. You can certainly ask football questions here. I wanted to get into these inflation comments I hear, BlackRock, gold, and those key points. We can still talk football if you like, but I just wanted to. I told you I would explain BlackRock, so I wanted to get into that. First thing is I want to explain the inflation. So what is inflation? An increase in the money supply. I've told you that. I'm watching some idiot on YouTube talk about demand pull and cost push inflation. It really doesn't mean anything. It's just strictly inflation is increase the money. So the money goes up. The prices are eventually going to go up on the products because it takes more money to buy them. If it's a demand pull or a cost push, doesn't matter. The worst way is hyperinflation, which is they print the money, people get scared, like in Germany in 1930, and they run to the grocery store, they buy 60 cans of tuna and 20 things of toilet paper, and they buy and buy and buy, which takes away supply is gone because people are buying it, which makes prices go up faster. That's what you don't want. That's the worst case. The other kind they call, that's more cost push. Just the people buying it is pushing the cost up. The demand pull, the money supply increases faster than the price. So here's inflation, but the prices aren't really going up, which is kind of what's happening now. Although it's starting to catch where I went to the grocery store and like eggs are now $5 for, or $4.60 for a dozen. But so you have this inflation, but it's not going into the system as far as prices are rising. The demand pulls prices, which raise inflation rates. So as you get more money because they're printing more, as that gets in, but the hamburger hasn't gone up, it's still $5 a pound. So because of that, you don't know, you see the inflation because they're printing money, but the prices aren't reacting yet. Either way, they're printing money, and either way, the prices or costs for everything goes up. It's maybe it goes up demand first, or maybe it goes up prices first and hyperinflation. But hyperinflation is the public being scared that, oh my God, they're ruining the money. And once we get to that's when gold goes way, way high. So keep that in mind. And that's what happens. Now there is three types of inflation. There's the specie, there's the debasement, which is what the Romans did, the fiat money, which government runs the presses, and fiduciary, which is the bank credit, which is the most dangerous, which causes the trade cycle. So in a nutshell, that's what's happening, right? The government's running the printing presses, the bank credit, inflation. So they're printing more money, which makes prices don't go up. The value of the dollar drops, which causes prices to go up. So that's really what they say. So to say demand pull or cost push is really it's a meaningless concept that they're really talking about. The key concept is they're printing more money, and it's going to cost more to buy goods because the money is worth less. That's the key that you need to understand. So when they try to explain cost demand pull or cost push, they're just I don't even understand what their concept is. So if they're trying to say that the prices are up because of the supply chain and there's a limited supply, which is making the cost go up, is bullshit. That is not inflation. That's economics. That's supply and demand. If the supply is low and the demand's high, the price will go up because people want, and there isn't enough out there. That's not inflation. That's prices going up. Inflation's only the money. It's only the money being printed. Now, as I said yesterday, I wanted to talk about BlackRock. So let's talk about BlackRock. By the way, the football game starts at 4:30. It's 1 o'clock. So let's get to BlackRock. So I did some, what is BlackRock? Who owns it? What is, okay, so BlackRock is run by a board of directors. They are just simply a capital company. They're like Warren Buffett. They'll buy, like Warren Buffett buys a million shares of Coca-Cola or Disney. That's the way he buys stocks. I mean, it's just he buys the company to run it, and that's what this. Um, that's all. That's all BlackRock is. They're not a bank. They don't own gold. They don't do anything like that. They just simply. Um, all right. Anyway, so BlackRock does not own gold because they're not a bank. J.P. Morgan owns gold, and we've talked about that. But BlackRock is just like an investment type of firm. They're an asset management firm, which means Teaserking wants to, go public, or, I want, have like a stock, like a company go public. I could go to BlackRock and say, okay, and they would invest in me, and they'd give me $5 million to promote my company and to grow my company, and then they get a percentage, or they get stock and they own the stock. So they're really not that. Now, why are they a bad company? So they're run by this Larry Fink guy who's basically a communist. And he is trying to blackmail these companies into doing what he wants. He's involved with Russia. He's involved with China, which is okay superficially, unless you're helping Russia with the war and then China. So he's heavily in China, which is bad news because China's going bankrupt. He's with Russia, which is also bad news because they put the sanctions on, and he's been helping fund the war. So he's terrible, but he is a communist, basically. Now, he's trying to blackmail a lot of companies with this, what's called ESG, meaning if you don't do ESG, we're going to cut your funding or hurt you or whatever. So what is ESG? ESG stands for environmental social governance. This is communist. What they're trying to do is make companies act this way. Now, does every company have to act that way? No. But if you want to deal with BlackRock, you do. Well, they're not the only rooster in the hen house. You don't have to deal with BlackRock, and you probably shouldn't because they're Nazis, communists. They're anti-American, basically. So ESG stands for environmental social governance and is used as an investment strategy to encourage organizations to act responsibly. ESG works by analyzing organizations across three criteria: their environmental footprint, their stance on social issues, and international. None of these things in the free market of Adam Smith means anything, nor should it mean anything, nor should you run your business that way. Political activists use ESG as a way to drive a progressive agenda, and ideological allies in the business community help push this agenda through economic coercion and ignoring democratic processes. Bottom line, communism. If you don't want to do if you don't want it this way, we're going to close you down, or, much like what happens in Russia. Here is what ESG really means. Environmental, the progressive green agenda driven by misguided strategies to combat climate change and reduce carbon emissions. So if your business doesn't want to do that, they're not going to lend you the money, and they're going to try to hurt you. Social, ESG, social criteria force companies to adhere to political demands, even when it has nothing to do with the company. So now it's a political Black Lives Matter, or you got to vote for the liberals or the communists or whatever. And governance. This largely focuses on certain political contributions, the diversity and political activism of a company's board, and the perception of a disproportionate CEO pay as a measure of whether a company is a good financial investment. So this is all communism. This is all blackmail. This is all hurtful. None of this is economics. Does ESG impact you even if you don't actively invest? Even small business owners are impacted. ESG plays a major role in inflation, which it doesn't. So I read that, and here's where they don't understand inflation. ESG is impacting inflation. The environmental measures meant to bring about a transition to clean energy will raise the cost of natural gas, the cost of gasoline, natural gas, and heating oil for decades to come, because they're trying to clean the energy. These same measures will also impact the food supply chain, adding burdensome costs to farmers and ranchers that will inevitably pass to consumers. That's not inflation. ESG investing could damage the global competitiveness of the United States. So, God, we don't want that. We want the invisible hand. The investment firms that often force ESG-based metrics on companies do not apply to the foreign companies. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink said behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we are asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors, meaning BlackRock expects American companies to follow ESG standards, but these standards do not apply to Chinese. I would tell Larry Fink to go fuck himself. I would not do business with them. If I can't get money to be in business, I will simply buy gold and go out of business. This is one of the reasons you buy gold. If I buy gold, I don't have to listen to communists like Larry Fink or any of these, or JP Morgan or any of these people, because I don't need them. I have gold, which is another reason they don't want gold to go up. They don't want you to buy it. They want you in money, because as they collapse the money, then you're fucked. Then you don't have money. How are you going to live? Well, you got to go to the government. If you have gold and silver, you don't have to worry about it. Another plus. So then it says, well, what can you do? And it says, demand the full financial analysis of any investment product, including your 401k, pension, or retirement, if an investment advisor recommends ESG investment over a non-ESG investment. So you have the financial planners who won't tell you to buy gold and silver, putting you in stocks that are ESG favorite, not non-ESG. So maybe Coca-Cola is non-ESG, but Pepsi is ESG. They'll put you in Pepsi, and that favors the ESG. So keep in mind, BlackRock is a communist company looking to basically control everybody and make changes that are malinvestments. Nobody cares about this green environment and the social. You got to have so many different cultures on your board, even though they're not qualified. And this whole political party, oh, you got to vote Democrat or something. So this is all bad news for Austrian economics, freedom, the U.S., capitalism, which is what we are, is a capitalistic society, free market. You can do what you want. You have to compete. So you can sell your Canadian club at $50. You don't have to have a diverse board. You don't have to make it with certain products that aren't for the climate. You don't have to send your money into the Democratic hand. You just make it. And in the market, if people want it, they buy it. That's it. That's the competition, is the market. So what this Larry Fink guy's doing is total blackmail. It's total coercion. It's total communism. That's what communist is. They'll force you to shut up. They'll force you to do things. This is what we do not want. We are about freedom. So this idiot must be stopped. This BlackRock must be go out of business. Now, they own a lot of capital, but look who he's doing business with. Now, it's so ironic because he's doing business with the Russians and the Chinese, who are not green, and they're not getting away from oil. Russia's not. So it's very strange, because what he's trying to do is hurt the Americans but he'll still do business with the Russian and the Chinese. In fact, he does a lot of military spending. So he's in bed with the Russians in this military, and probably with the Ukrainians too, selling weapons. This is Moriarty on Sherlock Holmes, right? This is who we're dealing with. He doesn't care. He just wants to make money. He's trying to control people. He's trying to hurt people. This guy needs to be thrown in jail or just, stopped. And the best way to do it is to buy gold and silver so you're not having to deal with it. But the bigger companies, if I'm Coca-Cola and this guy tells me, I tell him to go fuck himself. Warren Buffett, I don't know if he's this radical or not, but it's the same thing. But they don't own gold or silver, but they will own stock in gold mines, which is kind of confusing. But they're a holding company. They are not, there's a board, but they're not a bank, so they don't actually have physical gold, although I'm sure they bought physical gold. They have a lot of money tied up in helping companies. So that's what they do. This ESG, if you hear it run, it's communist. It's really bad. Larry Fink, basically, he's a communist running BlackRock, which is a communist organization. They're capitalists in the fact that they do help companies raise money and raise capital so they can exist. But outside of that, they're really bad. So please be careful with this ESG. It's very, very bad. It's for control. He's in bed with these reset guys and that. He's got a lot of money. But guess what? He doesn't have gold. Now, he does have shares in gold stock. But see, here's the fallacy that these people have. And this guy on YouTube who's telling us about demand pull and demand push inflation. They think money's good. See, this is why I say they don't understand the concept of they don't really understand the concept of inflation. Because if you understood the concept of inflation, you would understand it hurts the money supply. Let's see. So if we look at BlackRock, how much of the market, well, does BlackRock invest in gold? And then the answer is no. It's a fund that invests at least 70% of its total assets in global equity securities. So it's buying stock of companies which drive a significant proportion of their income from gold mining or commodities such as precious metals. So they got 70% of theirs in gold stock. So they understand what gold is. But here's what they don't understand. The stock market's going to crash. So all their wealth is going to zero because if they don't own gold, now, do they own gold? That's not clear. Does Larry Fink own gold? I don't know. But does BlackRock own gold? They own gold shares. Well, if they're smart enough to understand to own the gold shares, they're probably smart enough to have bought gold. But we don't know. So if they're banking on the gold stocks, they're going to go broke. And here's the other thing. So all these other idiots, like this attorney on YouTube says, you want to hold cash. And Warren Buffett has the most cash. So guess who's going broke? Warren Buffett, because he's holding cash. And you've got to understand the cash goes to zero. Look what we're doing. We're in gold and silver. I don't have any cash. I don't want any cash because I don't want to hold it's like a car. The car goes to zero. Well, it's the same thing you have now with the dollar. This is going to zero. So why do I want to hold $1 billion in cash when it's going to fucking zero? What is the point? Why would I want to be in cash? And as I've explained and tried to calm anybody's fears, if I turn my $1 billion into gold and silver now, I can always sell it and get my money back and then go buy whatever the hell I want to buy. But as I've explained, what do I want to do with my money? So Warren Buffett's got $1 billion in cash. What's he going to do with it? He's going to buy things. Why not just use gold and silver to buy things? Why do you need cash to buy things? What's he going to buy? A company? What's he going to buy? Stock? In a market that's crashing, I'm going to buy stock. So what's he going to buy? A house? Is he going to buy assets? He's going to buy Rolex? Well, go use your gold and silver for that. You don't need money. So there's no advantage of holding money right now because it's going to zero because of the inflation. Now you could call it demand pull or supply push or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's simply the value of the money going down because of inflation, which makes prices go up. It's got nothing to do with supply chain. It's got nothing to do with any of it. It's all about you printing money. You're making it worth less. It's Topps Barry Sanders cards. You printed so many of them, they don't have a value. That's what the money is. You printed so much of it, there is no value in the card, in the money. So they don't quite understand what inflation is, that it really devalues the money. They don't get it. They can get into well, why would I want to get into the demand, why would I want to get into demand pull or cost push? Why would I want to even go there? It's meaningless. The point is they're printing money and devaluing it. That's what raises prices, but not supply chain doesn't raise prices. If the price goes up on something, it's not inflation, it's the price going up. So if all of a sudden you go buy Oreos right now, and they're like $5 a box. I was at the grocery store looking. I don't buy them, but I look. They're like $5 for a little box that was $2, right? The little 3-column, this big Oreo cookies. The price didn't go up. It just takes more dollars to buy the Oreos because you're fucking with the dollars. That's all it is. So it really makes no sense. So that's what's happening. It's got nothing to do with supply chain. There's a shortage on Oreos or the black things or the cream inside, or there's no reason for the price to go up except for the money's worth less. And that's the key. So does BlackRock says they're going to do inflation? They can't do inflation. They don't print the money. They're missing the most basic concept of what the fuck inflation is. You print it and then it loses value. That's the first lesson I give you, right? Let's go back to the first lesson I give you. Qualities of the medium of exchange. It's got to be scarce, got to have high value. Overabundance loses value. That's the first point I make to you in our class, is that if you print too much, it loses value. So the only way you can have inflation and hurt the money supply has got nothing to do with supply chain. It's got nothing to do with this demand push, supply, cost push or demand pull. It's got nothing to do with that. All it's got to do with is you're printing the money, which makes it worth less, which drives the price up. So BlackRock cannot cause inflation. They can go out with this green energy, which might make things cost more. That's not inflation. So if they make gas cost more, they're not making inflation. They're just making the price of gas to go up. Now, what we do is we can do substitute. So if they make meat really expensive, we buy chicken. If they make tuna expensive, we can buy salmon. I just went and bought a frozen salmon that's wild caught for I think it was $8 for 12 ounces. It's frozen, but all the salmons you buy, even if you buy it at the meat counter and you see it's not frozen, it's been frozen. If you notice, it's sitting on ice because that's what you got to do with fish. It doesn't keep. So you're buying frozen fish anyway. But I bought the wild for $8. So I'll substitute whatever for that. I substitute for a lot of chicken. I substitute, if my barbecue place gets too expensive, I'll cook hamburgers, or I'll go buy steak and ribs and I'll cook that. So I'll substitute by, a lot of people substitute by, instead of going to the restaurant where the restaurants think you're going to pay whatever, you don't go there and you say, fuck you, and you cook it yourself. It's not hard. You turn on Gordon Ramsay for a day and you see how he cooks. A lot of, salt and pepper and garlic, and mix it up, and you put some olive oil and, Ken's French dressing without the thing. He uses a lot of sugar, so we don't use the sugar because we don't want to be diabetics and we don't want to have high blood pressure. So you stay away from sugar. And that's all he does. And that's really the point of it, is you do your own seasoning and you bake it and you broil it and whatever you want to do. And so now I'm not paying $20 for a hamburger at a restaurant. I'm buying for $5 a pound. I get 3 pounds for 15, 3 pounds. I make 8, 9 hamburgers and you're selling one for 15. So fuck you. So the restaurant goes out of business or lowers their prices to compete with what happens at the grocery store. The grocery store cannot raise their prices, as I've talked about free market, because if their whole goal is to sell inventory, any store sells inventory. BlackRock sells inventory. Their inventory is stock, and then they hope their stocks, but that's what they do. If the stock market crashes, what happens to BlackRock? Bye-bye. That's what's going to happen to BlackRock. Bye-bye, because they don't even understand inflation and they're communists. So if you don't understand Austrian economics, you're fucked 90 ways from Sunday. That's why this class is so valuable. And that's what I'm teaching and why I'm teaching it. Because if you just go with the Keynesian playbook, the communist playbook, and think we're just going to print money and nothing will happen, you'll end up broke. Warren Buffett will be the first one because he's got all this money in cash, which will go away. So all these guys that say hold cash are clueless. I know right away they don't understand what inflation is. They're not Austrian economists, and it goes out. And there's my 1 or 2 British guys, they get it. They go buy gold. How much physical do you own? That's because the fiat money will go and blow up. So why do I want to hold $1 billion, Warren Buffett, of money that's not going to have a value? This is somebody who clearly does not understand or get free market economics, we'll call it. Laissez-faire capitalism, which is what made the U.S. great. It made the Romans great. It made every country that ever went on it great. And then you get off and you stop with the gold and you start printing the money. And every country that's done that, the Brits, the French, the Spanish, the Amsterdams, and the Romans, everybody that's done it has gone to zero and gone out. Well, guess who's doing it now? And then to make matters even more in focus, here's the BRICS countries, and what are they doing? Going to have money backed by gold. Well, if that doesn't prove anything there, well, if it's a Keynesian world and we can just print, why would the Russians and Chinese and the BRICS have money backed by gold? They would just print money. Here's our new currency. It's a BRICS, with Putin on it, or the Putin and the Chinese guy on it, and we'll just print it. Why don't they do that? Because they know it won't last. It doesn't work. What are they doing? They're backing it by gold. There'll be commodities, some silver on it and some other, but primarily gold and silver. And then once you know there's gold and silver in the money, you feel more comfortable because they can't print it to death like they're doing in the U.S. So when you listen to these shows, and please be careful listening to some idiots, they don't know what they're talking about. You don't want to hold money. You don't want to be in stocks, but you don't want to hold money. You want to get your money out, have a little bit of money for bills, maybe 6 months, and then the rest is in gold and silver, and that's it. Buy a Rolex, fine, but I'd rather buy gold and silver. I can buy the Rolex later. That's what people don't understand, especially my girlfriends. They don't get when I tell them that just wait. I got one, she needs money. I go, wait. I'm not cashing in my gold and silver now. It's too cheap. I'm waiting for the explosion. Then I can cash in a silver ounce for $3,000 that I bought for $28, and then I can give you, here's $500. But right now I am not selling silver at $25, $28 an ounce that I spent $28 an ounce when I know it's going to be $2,000 or $3,000. So when you hear people talk about, well, gold will go to 2,300. They're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about because they're looking at COMEX. So in the paper derivative market that's controlled by JP Morgan and keeping the price down on purpose, that is not the real price. So 1800 is a fantasy price. It's not physical price. The physical price is probably 30,000 by now. The demand for gold is so high between India, Russia, China, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia, and the oil companies are taking gold for oil, the oil countries. There's so much demand. JP Morgan's buying. All these banks and central banks in Europe and Asia are buying gold, right? Well, what the fuck are they buying gold for if it doesn't have a value, if it's worthless? Because they need to get out of money, because they know the paper is garbage and going out. That's the big concern of this worldwide global recession, is because all the money's blowing up, because they're printing it and the US is charging that. And I heard Powell, to show you how crooked he is sitting there with Larry Fink, and he gave his money to Fink, and Fink doubled it. He turned 11 million into 22 million illegally. And here's Powell, he's raising rates. So he's listening. I don't know if he's listening to Fink. Fink doesn't know what he's talking about. So basically, Powell, by raising rates, is killing the world, because because everybody's in US dollars, and it costs more now to buy and sell them because of these higher interest rates. Right now it's 6% or 5%. Before it was 0%. So there was no interest charge. So let's just say you have a mortgage payment at 2%. Now it went up to 5%. Well, you just got crushed on your mortgage payment or your car payment. If the interest goes way up, you're screwed, because now you got to pay more. Well, that's what's happening to the world. That's why they're jumping out of US dollar as fast as they can. So that's what's blowing it up. But because Fink's a communist, and apparently Powell is too, they don't care. They want to blow up the US because they don't want to live in a free market world. They want to have control. This is the problem. They think they can control it. You can't control it. It's free market. You can't control the free market. We control the free market, but not one person. Me and you guys, we can go and say, we're not ordering these steaks. They're too expensive. We're going to get chicken. That's how we control the market, by the buying. You cannot have a market if there's no buying and selling, right? So, but you can't just print money to have the market. So I wanted to get into that because I was watching this thing on BlackRock yesterday, and I told you when I did my football show class that I would finish watching it, and I did. Then it got me into, how much gold does BlackRock have? None, just stocks. What is BlackRock? They're just an investment capital company. So if you need money to buy a machine or equipment, you might go to them for it, or for stocks. Sort of like that. If you watch that Facebook movie, when Zuckerberg goes to the guy and they give him like $500 million to start up Facebook or something. That's what BlackRock is. BlackRock owns houses, huge mistake, because the housing market's crashing. So they're going to be stuck with all these houses that are going to lose. They're in stocks. They're going to get crushed because all the stocks are going to go down. But that's why you need a guy like me, because I can explain it and I fully understand it. But if you don't have an Austrian economics background and you don't understand true economics, classical laissez-faire free market economics, you're fucked, because you don't understand that this is going to zero. That's the key. If you learn one thing from me, it's that this is going to zero, because it's not backed by anything and they're printing it to death. Just like a car depreciates to basically zero, right? So if you don't get anything else out of this class, and I hope you get a lot out of this class, that's the key to understand, that holding paper dollars that are not backed by gold will go to zero. So you do not want to be stuck holding them, and you don't want to be with heavy inflation in the stock market or the bond market. You think the dollar is safe haven because it's been like that in 2008 or that. This has got nothing to do with 2008. So really, that's what they're trying to say is, look out, this is going to be different. Well, Well, you're basically blowing up your money. But what they're not telling you is they'll print new dollars. Hopefully they're backed by gold. The gold standard has to come back because you can't, the paper money's gone. So the paper money all over the world is gone. So look what's happening. The BRICS countries, money backed by gold. What do you think the U.S. is going to do? Money backed by gold. Now they don't want it. The Larry Finks and all the other communists, Biden and those assholes and Gates and Zuckerberg and all the losers like to control us for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, I got $1 billion. I want to control people. Fuck, I'm on an island somewhere. I don't want to control anybody. Just leave me alone. That's the difference. Austrians, we just want to be left alone. Just leave me alone. Stop taxing me. Stop ruining my money. Just let me enjoy my life. That's really the whole point. And that's what I like about Austrian economics. It's freedom. It's just let me enjoy my life and do what I want as long as I'm not breaking a law. Don't interfere with me. Don't come out with this ESG crap where, oh, we got to have windmills. We can't have oil. Nobody want that. Nobody. What are you talking about? Nobody cares about that. Oh, we got to have different types on our board of directors. And if I'm running a business, I got to have, different colors and different races on my board. Are they qualified? I mean, Jesus, that's ridiculous. And why would you tell me that? You're not in my business. Get out of my business. Well, if you want my money, you got to listen to me. No, I don't. Either we have a loan or we don't. I go to the bank. I give them money. They give me, whatever. If I don't like it, I go to another bank. That's the beauty of competition. So that's what's happening. So BlackRock, they're not the enemy. They're just idiots. They're communists. Just understand they want to control. They want to force the agenda and tell companies how to run. If I'm a company, I tell them to fuck themselves. And I go get a loan or borrow from somebody else. They're not the only one. But they've got to be open about what they're doing. So BlackRock is a very, it's like Hitler. It's very Nazi. You don't want to do anything with them. And if you know anybody doing business with them, they need to get out. They're responsible for the Russian war chest. And they're in China, but they've got to be losing all their money because China's broke. They have a housing crisis. They're doing stuff in China, but China doesn't have a stock market because they don't trust the government there. So the first thing is you've got to trust the people that you're doing business with. And I would not trust BlackRock. Basically, at this point, get out of your fucking money, get into gold and silver. That's your only hope. That's your freedom, right? We all want freedom. That's your freedom because they can't take it away. There's no debt on it. This is an IOU. This is the government owing me $1. Now I can take it to the store and go buy, I don't know what you can buy with $1 anymore, but let's say I want to go buy Oreos. I give them a $5 bill. They give me the thing of Oreos. I go eat, I get sick, and I die from all the sugar, but basically I have the freedom to exchange the money for the product. How long will these people keep taking our dollars? Is really the question. That's really, if I'm running like Target or Meijer's or Kroger's, like I don't want dollars. Maybe I take it from the public, but I immediately run to the gold store. I immediately take my week's revenue and I go and buy gold and silver with it. I don't want the money. Now, again, you're not going to go to the store and give them a gold $50 or a half ounce of gold and pay for your groceries and try to get change. You're going to exchange it for the new currency and then use that to buy your thing. So it's not like, how am I going to get change? That's not the gold and the silver is not the medium of exchange. Medium of exchange, as we talk, is what everybody wants. It has exchange and use. It's a convenience developed by economics. So the medium of exchange is not going to be the gold and silver, although that will be money. It was in the Roman times, the medium of exchange. You would give gold and silver for food and clothes. But now that's not what it is. The medium of exchange is going to be this paper. So you take the gold into the dollar. The dollar is the medium of exchange. That's how you buy food and clothes and then you go. Now, if you use a debit card or whatever, your money has to be somewhere. So your money's in the bank. It's got to be in a bank, right? Or it's got to be in somewhere that the debit and credit card pull from. So if I get paid on my Teaserking and it hits PayPal, now what do I do with it? Well, I don't have a PayPal debit or credit card. I think I could get one, but I don't want one. So I then transfer it into my bank, and then I go pay my bills with my debit card from the bank, from the PayPal. So I don't expect anything to change there. There's still going to be a need and demand for people to buy things. So even if it's Amazon or whatever, you're still going to need it. You're going to need a trigger to get the money and then to pay for things. That's how a market works. People pay you, you then take the money and buy something else. Sometimes then maybe you save a little of it. So there's that. I got 100 in. Okay, I'm going to spend 50 and the other 50 goes into savings. And what I'm saying is, okay, take our savings and buy gold and silver. It's the best thing to buy with our savings after buying food and clothes and going on a vacation. So then do I go on a vacation or buy gold? And then you can do both. You can buy the gold when it goes up, then you take your vacation, or you buy your house, or you buy your car. So there's a lot of different things in play, but they're not telling you to buy gold because they don't want you in gold, because they want you to be basically a slave to them in that thing. So that's what you don't want to happen, right? You don't want to be in paper and then all of a sudden you got zero. That's my biggest concern, is I'm trying to warn people. But as far as this demand pull, supply, cost push, inflation, it's all the money being printed down, and it's when the prices catch up. So if you have inflation and the prices haven't caught up yet, that's demand pull. If you're printing and the prices are going up faster, that's hyperinflation, and that's cost push. That's the worst type. When we hit hyperinflation, you better be in gold and silver at that time. And hyperinflation will be panicking. That's what the Germans did. They took the wheelbarrows to get milk, right? When you see that, that's when you know gold and silver are going to go through the roof. Hopefully we get it through the roof before then. And hopefully we don't have hyperinflation, but people will panic and they'll go buy 62 boxes of Cheerios. When that happens, we're fucked. And they got to come out with the new money, but that's when gold and silver is our best friend. So that's what you need to understand. But inflation is always the printing of the money. There is no such thing as BlackRock causing inflation by making things more costly. That is simply making things more costly. That is not the definition of inflation. Inflation's period only printing the money and devaluing it because you printed too much money makes the value of the money, purchasing power, go down. Period. It can only be done by the Federal Reserve or the banks, not by a BlackRock. They cannot make inflation, not real inflation, the way as we're explaining it and defining it. So they can call inflation price increases, but that's the effect of printing the money, is making the money worth less. So you needed 5, now you need 10 to buy the same thing. So you think the price went up, and it's just you needed $10 to buy it. So anyway, if you watch old movies, you watch Hogan's Heroes in the 60s, or Leave It to Beaver, or any of these shows, even even Seinfeld in the 90s, and you look at the prices when they go into the grocery stores, or cherries are a nickel or a dime, or an apple's 30 cents. And you can see what's happened to the deterioration of the money. But because it happens over time, it's like the frog in the water. It's not boiling when it gets in, it's cold. So then as you turn it up and boil it, you notice it a little, but you don't jump out of the water, where if you went into boiling water, you'd jump out. That's what they're doing. They turn up the heat a little at a time. So it's a little bit, my eggs went from $3 to $4. No, my eggs went from 20 cents to $4.50. That's really the look. And then if you ever watch these things where it says, well, the movie, like The Godfather, I was watching, like behind the scenes or something like that on YouTube, and it was like, they had a $50 million budget, which today would be 15. It was like They had a $5 million budget, and today it would be 150 million, right? That's the inflation. It's just simply cost didn't go up. That's how bad they've hurt the money. And usually the gold one, the 35 an ounce to the 1800 an ounce is really my best analogy of it. So need you to understand it, need you to avoid BlackRock. BlackRock is evil. BlackRock is communist, and communist is evil because communist wants to have the government run things, not have the individual. And that's really the whole problem. We've always been free to do what we want, and the individual is the market. Collectively, we're the market. And what's happened is, if you have this communistic view of, well, we'll let the government run things and you won't have a choice, they've taken your freedom. They've taken your life and your liberty and your pursuit of happiness away from you. Then you don't have money. You can't do things. They're trying to hurt our travel. Well, we won't be able to fly as much. How am I going to go to Europe to meet my girlfriends if I can't fly there? So there's a lot of problems that they will cause if, and why are they doing it? Why is BlackRock so consumed on this? Are they, now they are in bed with China and Russia. So I always believe this comes back to China, that China wants to be number one and wants to ruin the US. And I think that's what's happening. Or we're blowing up ourselves. It's crazy. But all these guys on YouTube are just fucking clueless, except for Alistair McLeod and me. I wouldn't listen to any of these idiots, these Paul Rickards, these Rick Rules, these, especially Peter Schiff. He's a freaking clueless idiot. Don't listen to these guys. They're not only are they wrong, they're telling you lies, and they don't know. So you're listening to somebody that's clueless. Why do you want to listen to these people? I can't break it down much simpler. I'm giving you my notes from my master's class, so I'm giving you what I was taught. So it's not even like me. This is the truth. This is reality, and that's what happens. So please be careful. Please avoid BlackRock. This Larry Fink guy is a communist. He's like Joe Stalin. Just think about it like that. Gold, buy as much as you can. Silver, just buy it. You got to get out of the dollars because the dollars are collapsing. You'll watch Warren Buffett will go broke. See, as people get desperate, they sell to get money, right? I've lost my money in the stock market. I have a house. I have a car. I have a Rolex. I need money, so I sell it, and I'll take whatever I can get. And that's what Warren Buffett's trying to do with cash, is go, I'm going to take advantage of these people and buy cheap. But are they going to want the money? No, they're not going to want the money. They're going to want gold and silver. Yes, they'll take that. Well, here's $100. But it's a US dollar. I don't want it. And that's what's going to see. That's what the underlying current is. Nobody wants US dollars. And other countries are afraid of it because they're sitting there waiting for the interest rates to go up, their debt's going up, the sanctions. If I don't do what you tell me, then there's sanctions. We're almost like the Nazis, right? We're Hitler telling countries what to do, stealing their gold. And that's basically what we're doing, is raising interest rates, making them go bankrupt, putting them on sanctions if they don't do what they're saying, and basically bankrupting these countries. So if I was a country, I would never have been in bed with the US. I would be my own little country. Leave me alone. And by the way, my money's backed by gold and silver. Go fuck yourself, because you can't control me if I have gold and silver. Now, you could raid me, which is probably what the U.S. does, and steals the gold from other countries. But that's why you go and put it in the Swiss vault that is nuclear proof and, for safe haven. That's what I would have done. Anyway, that's what we're doing. Football starts in a couple hours. I'm going to go hit the gym and hit some Chinese. Please have a good day. I hope you learned. www.teaserking.com. Please go to the site. If you want to email me and ask me questions, I'm happy to help. That's why I do a live show, so you can ask questions and comments. We'll go from there. Anyway, the football picks, free pick is take Seattle, take Green Bay over, take TCU over. So I'm giving you 3 picks for Happy New Year. I want you to make some money and go buy gold and silver with it. So go do that, please. And that's about it. I've gone through football in the football video. 3 locks this week. If you want to buy the week, not a problem. And then we're getting into the playoffs. So if you want to buy the playoffs, it's like $100. I'll give you all the playoffs. It's what, 4 weeks now with the 7 teams. With the 7th team doesn't belong anyway. So that's about it. Have a great day. My foot's fine. Thank you very much. Please be careful. I don't know. There's a lot of shit going on. I mean, between the feet and the sugar and this COVID bullshit. My friend in Florida got COVID. So please be careful. I don't know what's going on. They're really trying to do a number on us. So please be safe. Please eat healthy if you can. You can still have your little desserts, but in moderation. And that's about it. So have a great day. We got KC over. We got Tennessee. Remember, if it's late in the game and KC looks like they're going to lose, put your money in on Buffalo before the line changes. Because if KC loses that, Buffalo line's going to 10, and you can get it in at 6. So I highly advise it. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. www.teaserking.com. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. We'll talk football. I did promise this BlackRock report. That's why I'm doing a separate economics one. But if you have questions on football, you can always ask them anytime I'm on. All right. Have a great day. www.teaserking.com. Good luck to you. I hope you make some money today. Well, hell, Prophet. I waited. I was waiting for you and Bobby, but I just did the show. I did the football one early, and I wanted to do a separate economics show. Specifically I talked about BlackRock. They're like the Nazis, so be careful with BlackRock. And this Larry Fink thinks he's Hitler, trying to control people, tell them what to do. And then China and Russia thing. And then I got into money that, like, Warren Buffett has a lot of money. And these idiots are trying to say to be in the money. But the problem is, if you're in money or stocks, you're fucked, because they're all going out because of the inflation. So Warren Buffett's going to lose all his money that he has, thinking he's going to buy things cheap. He ain't going to buy shit, because nobody's going to take his money, because it'll be worthless. He needs to be in gold and silver, but he's not smart enough to understand what gold and silver are. So that's what I talked about here. Again, avoid BlackRock. They're communists. It's like Joe Stalin, this Larry Fink guy. What else? So BlackRock thinks that if they go to green energy, they're going to make they're going to cause inflation. They don't understand what inflation is. It's only printing of the money. It's got nothing to do with prices going up. It's the effect of takes more money to buy something. But if gas goes up from $3 to $4, that's not inflation. If it's not caused by the money supply being devalued. Prophet, I have a 3-team teaser to run by you. Vegas in 19.5, Tennessee in 16, and Detroit plus 15. BlackRock is as I said, I would take the Vegas game over. I like Tennessee, and I would take Detroit over. That's how I view it. I don't mind these lines either. Those are good lines. Well, this is a short video. It's only 50 minutes, and I already did the football one. But anyway, the 3-teamer, again, I like Oakland over Tennessee and Detroit over more than I like the teams. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, you can. I would probably put you on Green Bay plus 6, Tennessee, and then I'd still go with Oakland over. That would be how I'd view it. Or I'd take Detroit and Oakland over in Tennessee. That's it. BlackRock is an investment firm. So if you saw the movie, it's a must-win game for Detroit. And if Seattle wins, Detroit's out. And Green Bay has been hotter than Detroit. And don't forget the Carolina game with Detroit. I'm just telling you, in a game like this, Green Bay is going to win it because it's Aaron Rodgers at home, and Detroit in an outdoor game and must-win game will not win it. Again, the pressure's too much for them to handle. They got a bad coach. Their quarterback's not nearly as good as Aaron Rodgers, so you can take them with the 15. I'm not saying that's a bad bet. I'm just saying I would go over because Detroit is hot, but their defense sucks. Rodgers is going to light them up. Detroit will score. It's a much better to go over 39 than to take Detroit in 15. That's all I'm saying. The best bet I'm giving you, not that that's bad, that'll probably win also. That's not what I'm saying. But for my opinion, you want to run this by me, I'm telling you the way I would play these three games. Oakland over, Tennessee, and Detroit over. That's how I would play the three games. You can play it like that, and that'll probably win also, but you don't know. There could be Green Bay could blow out Detroit, but it'll be high scoring. So we'll just see. So BlackRock is an investment firm. They don't own any gold. They just they buy stock. They're a lot like Buffett, where he buys stocks in companies, but he buys like 1 million shares. So they buy a lot of stocks. They are in gold mining stocks and other companies like Walmart and Amazon. So they buy 1 million shares of Amazon. That's what BlackRock does. But they're trying to tell these companies how to run their business with this ESG, this environmental, social, and whatever the G stands for, governance. So they're trying to tell you how to run your business. That's what makes them dangerous. And so they get on the board, they buy so many shares that they're part of your board, and then they tell you that. And if you don't do it, they fire you, and they bring in people who will run this agenda. Well, we don't want a green agenda. I don't want this social bullshit where you got to tell me I need so many race people on my board, and then I don't want this guidance where I got to donate to the Democratic Party. So it's all a communist company, very Keynesian, and they're very bad. Just think of Hitler, and you think of BlackRock and Larry Fink. Oakland over 10 in Detroit. Yeah, that's it, Prophet. That one's good. That'll make you money. Not that the other one wouldn't. I think the other one's also a good bet, but we'll see. So that's what I've been talking about, and we will see. Hey, Phil, I think of Stalin and I get to BlackRock and Fink. I think of Hitler when I think of that, but it's very close because Hitler was mafia. Stalin was kind of a dictator. Fink's a dictator, and BlackRock is basically communist. I did this little thing on this ESG bullshit. So I read that, and you know, this is BlackRock, right? It's, oh, you've got to do this ESG. What is ESG? You know, environmental, social, and governance. What the fuck is that? So they want to run down this thing. And then they're so stupid. Now, here's really the downfall of Larry Fink and BlackRock. They don't understand what inflation is. They think if they raise the price of oil and they raise the price of heating and you know, energy, that's inflation. It's not. As I just discussed, inflation is only the printing of the money, devaluing it. It creates, the effect is costs go up, but you cannot have inflation without printing the money, and they can't print money. They're not a central bank, only the central bank. Now, he is in bed with Powell, so he can tell Powell to print the money, which is what Powell's probably doing. And I think Chinese are running BlackRock, but that's the whole key. I know Powell gave him money and made like $10 million by giving it to Fink. And so I think Fink's running Powell, but the central bank's run by JP Morgan. So I think they're trying to blow it up because they want to control everybody. And that's what they're trying to do, is the control part of it. But if we just tell them to fuck themselves and we're not interested, you're powerless if you don't have an audience. Like, I could tell people to do anything, but if nobody listens, I don't have any power. So basically that's what BlackRock is. All they do is really loan out the money, like in the Facebook movie where they gave Zuckerberg all that money to start up the company and put the offices in. That's what BlackRock is. They don't own any gold, and I don't think they catch on. They own gold stocks, gold miner stocks, but when the market collapses, they'll be bankrupt. They own a lot of houses, but the housing market's crashing. So what good is that? They are funding the war effort with Russia and the Ukraine. They're selling to both sides, and they're selling to China. So it's a clear Chinese. It's basically the guy from it's Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes #2, where he has all these weapons and he's selling them to both sides, and that's why he wants the war to take place. And I think this is exactly what's going on now, trying to get China and Taiwan, trying to get Russia with you. They're just trying to start wars so they can sell the military equipment and stuff. That's really all he's trying to do. Guy's a fucking moron and should be in jail. Prophet, do you know what Washington, D.C. was called before it was renamed? But in 1776? What, New England or something? No, I don't, but I don't really. What was it, Prophet? If you want to, now you're Canadian, so I can see where this would interest you. What would Washington, D.C. called? So I'll ask you, Rome, Maryland. So where was your parliament before it's in Ottawa? Because Ottawa's is your Washington, D.C.? So what was before Ottawa? Rome, Maryland. Yeah, well, I can see the core. There's a definitely correlation between how Rome got fucked up and how we're getting fucked up. And if you just watch it, what happened to the Roman Empire? They inflated the money supply. They debased the currency. They got the gold out of the coin. And then guess what happened? You had all this massive inflation. And then guess who got the money? The Germans got the gold. The Germans defeated them. And that was the end of the Roman Empire. And what do we have? Inflation. We've debased our gold. We have hyperinflation. Same thing's coming here. If people think the U.S. is too big to fail, which I don't even understand that term, too big to fail. If you're run by idiots, you're going to fail. If you print your money to zero and you don't have money, you fail, basically. It all comes back to economics. You cannot have a good company or a good country or a good family with no money. It doesn't work. So you've got to understand money, which means you got to understand to have gold and silver, not to be in paper. As I was explaining, Warren Buffett has like $2 billion in cash. And my point, I'm laughing going, well, when it goes to zero, he's going to have zero in cash. But if we were to buy $2 billion in gold and silver, like if Warren Buffett wants to take advantage of people who are hurt by this inflation, and Warren Buffett wants to, I'm going to buy a house cheap or a car cheap or a company cheap. Not with US dollars, you're not, buddy. You're going to have to buy Russian dollars backed by gold, or the BRICS countries buy gold, or just simply buy fucking gold and silver. Oh, that guy doesn't own gold and silver. And you want me to think he's intelligent? Not with that action, you don't. Prophet, why do you think DC has all these ancient looking Roman buildings? Yeah, no, I know. That's where they got it from. And it's corrupt. I think, what is it? Where they do the money, I think, is right off of the Roman money or treasury. So I don't know if it's the U.S. Treasury or what, but they have the same pillars that They have the same pillars that the Roman treasury had. We all know what happened with the Roman treasury. No, I mean, Washington, we are the same as Rome. And I bet you back then they said Rome's too big to fail too, until you got Nero burning. You know why Nero burned the city? Because he wanted to put up marble statues of himself, and it was all wood. So he burned all the wood so he could replace it with marble. That's why this idiot burned the city down. So we got, well, Biden's too stupid to actually be alive, but I don't even believe that's him. I believe it's an actor playing Biden or something. But this is basically, I think the Chinese are ruining us. I don't even know if the Russians are, because there's a lot of Russians that live here. But I know the Chinese are, and the Japanese hate Americans. When I worked at Toyota, they hated Americans. They're lucky I didn't do some damage to them. But the Chinese and Japanese hate Americans, and they are the prime reason that we're getting destroyed. And if you now you could go to war with us, but it's better to kill our money supply than it is to go to war. So if you kill the money, we can't go to war anyway. So the fact we have $1 trillion, guess what though? It's not worth anything, right? So if the money's worthless, back in Germany in the 30s, they made, or these Venezuela, they made like a $10,000 bill, but it would buy you a pack of cigarettes. It wasn't worth anything. So if you start seeing $100,000 bill, you know that it's all over. Once you see those type of bills come out in your paper system, you're fucked. It's all over. Goodbye. Just running by gold with it. But you don't have much time when you start seeing that. I don't know when that comes out. But as I said, we don't want hyperinflation is the fear. So when you start seeing people buy 70 boxes of toilet paper or cans of tuna or 20 cases of Cheerios, the panic has started. It's all over. Once you have hyperinflation, everybody's fucked except for us gold and silver people, because that goes through the roof while all the paper goes away. So that's why we don't want to be in paper. That's why Warren Buffett will lose everything he has, and Bill Gates and all these other idiots, because they're all listening to Larry Fink and BlackRock, who is not a bank, who don't own any gold, who's sitting there telling them, oh, put your money in Amazon or put your money here. He's the one, the troublemaker. When the Fed prints the money, they're giving it to him, and he's putting it in his. Then notice he's in Amazon and Meijer and Walmart and all these stocks that went up when they printed the money. So if you just looked at the BlackRock portfolio, you could have made a lot of money by just owning what he has, because it's not being put in by the free market. It's being put in by the Fed, by Powell printing the money and JP Morgan, and then they putting it into BlackRock and they're investing it. So BlackRock is very illegal, very communist. Just avoid them. Do not do any business with them, and get out of paper, get into gold, because they want to basically destroy the U.S., the freedom. Yeah. I mean, how does this guy think like this? He went to UCLA, I saw. How does he think like this? What is he, out of his mind? Oh, I'm going to take over the world. Was he Pinky in the Brain? Oh my God. I used to watch that cartoon with my daughter when she was young, and the brain wanted to take over the world. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? How is that a thought that enters your mind, is I'm going to control people? I mean, Jesus Christ, where does that come from? Just leave me alone. Let me live a happy life. Why do they go there? Why does everybody want to be a Joe Stalin and an Adolf Hitler? What the fuck is going through their minds? These are some sick people that should be locked up and thrown away to key. Anyway, so I basically talked about all this. I did talk about inflation earlier with demand pull, and I heard some idiot talk about it, so I just wanted to clear it up. And it's all basically they're printing it, and either the price doesn't react as fast, or the price reacts faster. And it really doesn't matter. It's the price is going up because the money's worth less, and therefore the cost is going up. The cost of the Oreos, the price of the Oreos doesn't go up. It's the dollar being devalued, and it takes more dollars to buy the Oreos or the Coke or whatever it is. That's all it is. The dollar's losing value. So it really doesn't matter if it's cost push or supply. You cannot have inflation by supply. So if there's a supply chain problem and the price goes up, it is not inflation. Inflation is only the money being losing its power. The prices go up are the effect of it and are not inflation. So, so if gas goes up, it's got nothing to do with inflation. It's just they're raising the gas price. But as a market, we can say, fuck you, we're not going to buy it. Or there's certain meat, or as we talk. So let's say steak goes up, to keep it easy, goes up to $20. You say, fuck you, we're not buying it. They got to lower the price because they're in business to move their inventory. And if the inventory isn't moving, guess what they got to do? They got to move their inventory. Phil, they get chosen early in their life. That's why they always have the perfect credentials. They are steered into positions and taught how to think like an elite. Well, I don't know why elites think they can control. So if if me and you got 20,000 ounces of gold and gold goes to 50,000 an ounce, now we're elite. Does that mean we're now going to take over and control everybody? No, we're going to go to a beach and have 20 girls with us and laugh all the way to the bank because our gold just went through the roof. But it doesn't mean I want to control anybody. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where these Larry Finks and Bill Gates come from. Profit, they want to get rid of the middle class, and it's going quite well. Why do they want to get rid of the middle class? It's all about power and control, but why? You make more power and control by having a middle class who pays a lot of taxes than you do by getting rid of it, because the poor aren't going to give you any taxes and the rich aren't going to pay you any taxes, and they're not going to succumb to you. So I understand what you're saying. I just don't accrue it. They want the ruling class and the serfs. Let them go back to 1700s in Europe, and they can be in the Dark Ages if that's what they want. I don't even think the Romans had that. But it's all about the money, and don't forget that. If you have money, it doesn't matter. That's why I'm telling you to buy the gold and silver. Then you won't be poor, and you might still be middle class, but they can't control you because they can't control gold and silver. The money, they're burning the money, but I don't know that that's getting rid of the middle class. If the middle class is smart and does what we're talking about and buys gold and silver, the middle class, I guess we turn into the upper class because our gold will be worth a lot more. But it's only people that stay in fiat. It's the only people that are going to get hurt are people that stay in this and then watch it go to zero. Those are the people that will get hurt. That's it. The poor can't buy the gold, but I keep telling them to buy silver because I know they can afford $23. And the rich are too stupid to buy gold and silver. So wait till the ruling class runs out of money because they inflate it to zero. And they're too stupid to buy gold and silver. The people that end up winning here are the gold and silver people, because they will ruin the dollar because they don't even understand inflation, or they think you can just keep printing because they're Keynesians, right? So they think they can keep printing and nothing will happen to the value of the dollar. We know it's going to go to zero. They're all going to go broke. Like Warren Buffett, his $2 billion are going to turn to zero. And the people that win are going to be the people in the BRICS countries who have all this gold, who are now worth 80, 90 times what they were worth. And really the winner is going to be China and Russia because they have the most gold. So when you have Russia and China winning, if these guys in the U.S. think they're going to win, they're clueless. They're going to be all wiped out. It's all gone east to Russia, China. Can I buy silver online anywhere? Yeah. Just go to a silver place and order online, just with your probably, I don't know, debit card, credit card, whatever. And off you go. Buy as much as you can. I do it all the time. Profit margin. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just now keep in mind, Phil, he's in Canada. So I don't know what their regulations are, but uh, you should be fine ordering that. But you're going to have to pay more because you got Canadian dollars. So 28 for us might be 32 for you. You're like 3/4, so be more. Well, again, Phil's site might not work for you in Canada, Profit. Maybe it will. Check it out. Not necessarily. I mean, I'm sure they have silver. They have a Canadian mint where you buy the maple leaves. Check that out. But I don't. I don't think it matters. I know there's going to be custom problems. Like if he ordered from your guy Phil, who the one we were talking about. Let's say it's in New York. Well, they got to cross customs and all this shit and that and the FX rate and God knows what they do with the shipping. So look for a Canadian one, Profit. Hopefully you should have coin stores in Quebec, Montreal area that you can buy it from. They usually take debit cards and credit cards. Yeah, Google it up. But I'm sure they have gold coin, coin shops in your area that you can just go and buy it from. Absolutely. It'll be extra custom charge you like $15. I'm sure you'll be fine. Well, yeah, but he's probably better if he buys it from a Canadian company to avoid all that shit. Plus, who knows how long we'll have to wait for it. So find a store if you can. Okay. Be careful that it's a coin, like a maple leaf or is it American Amazon or Canada Amazon? I don't know. But if it's Canada Amazon, try to buy maple leaf silver. You've got to buy coins that say 1 ounce silver pure 999. You do not want to buy silver that does not say silver because you'll never be able to sell it because people won't understand that it is physically silver. So you got to buy the minted coin. So if you buy maple leafs, it says on it 1 ounce pure silver 999. Nobody can argue that it's an ounce of silver. And all you're buying is an ounce of silver. I'd use eBay and filter by Canada sellers. Should be fine and avoid customs. The problem is it's going to be more expensive. He'll be paying. So like if we wanted eBay, we would probably get the eagle for $40. But if I go to the coin store, I get the eagle for $35. Plus there's no tax. I'm not sure if eBay gives tax. You can try that as a source profit, but I think you're better off with Amazon or some Canadian company or going to the coin store in Quebec and buying it right from there. You should not pay tax. You're gonna, that's why you go to the store. You don't have tax or shipping. If you go online, they're going to charge you shipping. They shouldn't charge you tax, but I don't know Canadian law, only U.S. law. Well, good luck to you, Phil. Let me know, or Profit. Let me know what's going on. But yeah, you can probably buy it in the U.S., but you're going to get the customs and shipping charges. That why do you want to pay that? Try to look for a coin store if you can in your area. That would be the most ideal. You go to the store, give them the money, you got it, you walk out, you're all done. That's what I do. The Royal Canadian Mint has it. Well, there you go. And you'll pay more because it's Canadian. And order from them. See if it's sold out or not. It's true there is shipping and premium to pay, but if it goes up like we hope, it will be mitigated. Like Professor said, local coin shop, we be best. Well, just because you don't pay shipping and you give the guy cash and you walk out with the silver. Like if I go to my coin guy now, I give him $300, I get basically 20 or 10 ounces of silver, and I walk out with the white container of silver. So that's really what I prefer to do, is go to the store and get the silver, and off I go. That's what I want to do. 40 an ounce for a silver dollar, but that's Canadian. And that's, I think, a maple leaf, right? So that's a Canadian currency maple leaf. Is that what you're talking, Profit? So that would make sense because it's 35 US for that. First check Majestic Silver, Canadian Silver Company, and I own their stock. So pardon my shill. Yeah, the maple leaf. So it's $40 Canadian. Majestic Silver is going to be the same amount, probably, Phil. It'll be, I'm sure it's 35 for the American Eagle, but he's paying in Canadian dollars. And then, again, you're fucking around with the shipping. Hopefully no tax, but the shipping and stuff. The price comes down if you order in bulk. Yes, of course. Yeah, because they're getting at where yours is, Phil. Majestic is buying it from the Royal Mint of Canada. So the Royal Canadian Mint has got to be the cheapest because they're making it. Then they're selling it to Majestic, who has to mark it up and make their profit. So you're much better buying it from the Mint, I believe, if you can profit. If the Mint allows you to buy it directly from them, usually there's certain producers that can buy from the Mint and then they sell it to us. I can't buy it from the U.S. Mint, but if you can, I would recommend that's got to be the cheapest for you. And I make sure there's supplies. That's the first critical thing. Is there supply for it? If there is, then order it and you'll get it. If there isn't, you might wait 2 months for it, and you don't want to do that. Then you want to check eBay or check finding a store. I got to believe you have a gold store somewhere. If you don't, we're going to go open one up. Me and Phil are going to come down to Quebec and we'll open up a gold store, because if there's no competition, then we're going to make a fortune. So keep that in mind. But you got to have a store. Anyway, yeah, good luck with that, Profit. And you got a little bit of time before it goes through the roof. Yeah, well, we'll learn from Guy Lafleur. That was always my favorite. We'd go to the Montreal Garden. My uncle lived in Montreal, and we'd go to the Montreal Forum. And there'd be a hockey game, and the goal would be scored by Guy Lafleur, and the guy would tell you in French, and then he'd tell you in English. And I always laughed at that. Well, if they accept credit cards, you can use that or a debit card. They're going to probably charge you more versus a cashier's check. If you go to the store, you can give them cash, and it's got to be cheaper. Here, you're going to pay more on the credit card. But that's fine if they take them and you got room on your credit card. That would be fine. So go enjoy. Buy what you can afford. Well, check that out before you order, I would say. Keep that in your back pocket. Just Google coin stores in Quebec and then see what there are and make sure they don't charge you tax, get their price. Now they're marking it up from the Mint, so it might be a little bit more. But when I go to this store here, it might be $1 more. I don't care because I can drive to the store, give them cash, walk out with it. I don't have to wait I would have shipping charges, and I just when I get home, I have more gold and silver. So let's see, Phil. I have been turning my crypto into silver lately. Bought all my silver with crypto. That's mainly why I have ordered online lately. I saw where you can actually use the crypto to buy the silver and the gold. So that's good because you don't want it. Then you don't even have to dick around with it. Prices must be higher at any store, though. Not necessarily. That's why you got to price. They'll probably be higher than the Mint, but the Mint's going to charge you shipping, and that's where you're going to break even on it. So just get the price of the Mint and get the price of the store is what I would do, and just see how much the difference is. Subtract the shipping because you're going to drive there, and it's probably the same price. Yeah, you want to get out of your crypto, Phil. That's not going anywhere. I don't know. These people are trying to get with the crypto. Like, dude, I'd rather have gold and silver over crypto. Why is crypto going to go up? As the dollar goes down, it's going to lose. It has to lose value because it doesn't have its own value. It's priced in U.S. dollars. Gold does not need to be priced in U.S. dollars. It'll be priced in gold. That's it. Phil, exactly, Professor. And crypto has actually gone up recently, so I can get out of it quick enough. I don't expect it to rise for much longer. I'm buying with pure profit. Well, that's the best. That's what I told the guy at the Toyota dealership. He had made like 60,000. He said, "Oh, I spent 35 and it's worth 100." And I said, "I would sell the 65,000 and go buy gold and silver." And this was months ago. And I don't know what he did, but it was like, well, my wife wants the crypto. And I keep saying, you've made the money. Crypto is an investment like a baseball card. Take the profit and go buy gold, which is low because gold hasn't zoomed up. So you're going to get this push in gold like you got so crypto going up. Now you've got it. Now it's got nowhere to go but down. But if you sell it, now you can take that money, buy the gold here, and then wait for the gold to go jump up. That's the ideal, what you try to do in stocks or any investment. You try to get it when it's low and then it goes up and then you get out at high. That's what I did with my gold stock. I would wait. It would drop at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, it starts going up. I buy it. By 2 o'clock, it's up a point. I'm selling it, and then it goes back down because it's 4 o'clock. Profit, how low do you expect Bitcoin to drop, Professor? I don't really know. I don't know that it has a value. It's run by the Russian mafia, so pretty low. If I owned it, I'd be out of it by now. But I like taking my profit. So if I buy something at $1,000 and it went to 2,000, I'd have been out of it at that point. I'll say zero, but I'll say 9K. But after a brief rally, I say 24K, then below 9K. My opinion, you didn't ask for. Well, the only question is, where are you getting 9K and 24K from? See, that's really my question. I can tell you gold because they're printed $10 trillion got printed. So you've got to multiply it by, 10 trillion gold and silver because it's the dollar dropping. So it's correlated with the dollar. That's why I give you gold prices. Bitcoin's not. So I don't know where you get 9 or 24 from. And if we keep in mind, it's run by the Russian mafia and all the Russians are getting out into gold. I don't know where that comes from. There's no market value for 9K or 24K. I don't see the Russians jumping back into it. So I don't really get how it drops and then how it goes, how you pick 24K. The same tech charts all the nerds look at, 60-day moving area. Okay, but let's go back to football. So I have a chart that says, here that says if we play against, if we take San Diego, they're 11-1 as a road dog. That's my chart that you're looking at in Bitcoin. And does it mean anything today when tomorrow when San Diego doesn't need the game or there's an injury? In other words, there's variables that go into that chart. Maybe Herbert isn't playing, or these are without Herbert. Now Herbert's there, and now we have Herbert trends. All I'm driving at is the variables that went into that chart, that tech chart might not be the same. Are you including this inflation that's going to drive it? Are you including this war? There's a lot of variables that go in. You can't blindly look at a tech chart, say, oh, this is what it did, then it drops. I expect it to stop here and go back up. It doesn't work. That's the flaw in the ointment. There's too many variables, right? Here's a variable. KC needs this game as a 1 seed, but let's say the trend's on Oakland. Am I going to bet Oakland? But KC needs it for the 1 seed. That's a new variable that supersedes the normal week 10 game of Kansas City, Oakland. That's what you have to understand when you're looking at charts. You've got to understand the variables that went into it. So when Peyton Manning left Indy for Denver, I couldn't use the Indy trends and I couldn't use the Denver trends because the Denver trends were Tim Tebow and the Indy trends with Manning. Now you've replaced them. Well, there's our Manning trends at Indy, not at Denver. So I had to wait 2 years to get Manning trends at Denver, and I guess it was Andrew Luck trends at Indy. So keep that in mind. The variable, the horse changes colors. You've got to understand that you can't just look at a trend without understanding, is it the same trend that you were looking at before? Did nothing change? If nothing changed, okay. But I guarantee you with this inflation, it's changed a lot. If all the teams stayed exactly the same, I would apply it to football. But in finance, all the players are exactly the same. They're not exactly the same. You have inflation now. I don't know what chart 60-day moving averages 1 year. You didn't have this inflation a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's not all the same. Just be careful with that, Phil. Go look at Coca-Cola stock, and do you think it's going to be the same? Or go look at Tesla stock or Amazon. Look at stocks, and do you think everything's the same? No, because we got inflation. Costs have went up. I don't think the stock's going to react the same. That's what my point is. If there's changes to the variables, you cannot just use the trend, and you can't tell me in finance all the players are exactly the same. They're not. Inflation's entered it. Gold's entered it. The war's entered it. China's entered it. There's a whole lot of new variables that have come into the finance world that weren't there before. So it's not all the same. It's about who runs it is my point. It is the same people running it. I understand you mean, well, who's running Bitcoin? Nobody's running Bitcoin. It's the Russian mafia. The Russian who runs Bitcoin? I'm totally lost now. Nobody runs it. It's not a company. It doesn't have earnings. It doesn't have stock. It doesn't own assets. It doesn't own gold. It's just an electric thing that people think there's value to, so they buy it and watch the price. What made the price go up? What's making the price go down? And I guarantee you the government is never going to let the price go up again because, like gold, they don't want it to. And the difference is gold's actual money. So when Russia and China want to do BRICS countries gold back or dollar backed by gold, okay, but they're never going to do dollar backed by Bitcoin or crypto. Just that sailor idiots in Bitcoin, but even Tesla is out of it. And nobody takes it. I can't buy a Toyota with Bitcoin. I could buy it with gold, probably, I would assume. Factors outside of the same players have affected it. Like all of finance, Bitcoin isn't controlled by any bank. It's controlled by the U.S. government, I'll tell you that. And what is Bitcoin? It's not a bank. It's not money. It's certainly not gold. I don't know what it is. Is it a baseball card? I think it's more of a baseball card than money, because money, and we'll get right to it, and I've explained this several times, money got to be convenience developed by economics. The qualities of the medium of exchange, it's got to be portable. Is Bitcoin portable? Is it scarce? No. Is it divisible for small exchanges? I don't think so. Is it fungible? Everything is the same. I don't know. Is it replaceable? No. If you lose it, you can't replace it. Is it accepted? No, I don't accept it. Is it durable? Certainly not. Value equals most marketable commodity. So Bitcoin doesn't fall under any of that. It's not accepted. Like I said, I can't go buy a Toyota with it, but I could with gold or silver, or I could at least buy dollars and do it. Is it divisible? No. What's a Bitcoin? I mean, I'm buying one hundredth of a Bitcoin. It's certainly not money, and it's certainly, I can't go to the grocery store with it. You can't pay me with it. I don't want it because I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where the value comes. It's not gold and it's not money. So this is the problems I have from as an economist looking at Bitcoin going, what the fuck is it? Where is it getting its value? Supply. Is it really supply and demand, or is it Russian mafia who want it to go up because they got all their money to launder the money in it, which is what it is. It's not on paper, but if you buy billions worth of almost anything, you have a major say in price. That's not true. Depends on what you mean by lose. You would have to lose your password, which is a 24-word code. You are told 100 times not to lose. Well, how about that woman? There's people that have lost the password and lost billions of dollars of Bitcoin. You need the password to get it. Okay. So if you lose the password, you're fucked. I know that's happened. I've read those stories. Uh, if you buy billions worth of almost anything, you have a major say in price. Really? Why is that? The price is set by the market. It doesn't matter. You think Warren Buffett has $1 billion, has a say in a price of steak? No. Or gas? No. He doesn't have a say in anything. He owns Berkshire Hathaway, and he might have a say in how the companies run, what they buy. He doesn't have any say in the market. He can't sit there and come in and say, "Oh, your Canadian club, it's $20 now because I'm a billionaire." You don't have a say in that. So no, it doesn't matter. You have billions worth. And the Russian mafia, they just want to launder their money. That's all they were doing. They're done laundering, and that's why it won't go up. It's not even based on supply and demand. That's my point. And you got 21 million Bitcoins, which is not limited. There isn't a free market. That's what you seem to disagree with me with. It's why we are here now. Well, yeah, I understand there's not a free market. That's why I'm saying I don't know how it's getting value. The Russian mafia is a pipsqueak compared to the Jewish mafia? Maybe. I wouldn't want to fuck with either of them, but okay. But they're the ones who run Bitcoin because they were laundering their money. So I'm disagreeing that I think there is a free market, or well, the free market, that's what we should have, but it's been, again, government's involvement is breaking away with the laissez-faire free market. It's not there. There's government involvement, and the government is trying to, that's the problem. It's the socialism that's killing the free market. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem. We all know that. I mean, but that's why you don't have supply demand. That's why I'm questioning why you think Bitcoin will go up. If it was left a free market and there was huge demand, see, here's what you're not saying, Phil. This is why people got into Bitcoin, because they didn't want this garbage and they wanted the government out. So they wanted to get to a safe haven where they would switch this to Bitcoin, and then everybody would jump in Bitcoin because there was no Federal Reserve and there was no government running it. That is why the initial intent of Bitcoin was, and I get that. But that's not what's happened. The government's getting involved with it, and you can't just create money. If you want to do that, that's why I'm saying you buy gold and silver. That is your safe haven that the governments can't touch, not Bitcoin. And then if you lose your password, if I have Bitcoin, if I have gold in my hand, I got gold in my hand. I don't have Bitcoin in my hand. I don't have property of it. And a lot of people don't accept it. That's what I argue about. That's my point. I don't see where it's got a value. I don't know how it goes from 16 to 9 or 9 to 24. You're saying it's some chart. I don't believe it because there's too many variables that will make it go up. And especially if it's priced in US dollars, I know US dollars will drop. So the value of Bitcoin will drop. Where are they going to go up? I have no idea. Who's getting into Bitcoin? So you think as the inflation ramps up, people are going to sell their dollars and go into Bitcoin instead of going into gold and silver. And maybe they will, but it'll still be priced in US dollars, where gold and silver won't be priced in US dollars. It'll be priced in gold and silver. That's the advantage of gold and silver to Bitcoin. I don't need a government there, and everybody will take gold and silver. Phil, I don't think there is one. It is rigged. Yes, Professor, but under your model, yes, I hope your big fee and our metals go up as they should. Well, that's the whole point of the metal. That is the free market. That's the only way to get there, is to get off of the fiat currency and out of the government. But I prefer to do it with gold and silver because I understand that, versus Bitcoin, which I don't understand. And it's not worth it. It's not worth anything. I'm not going to buy a house with a Bitcoin, but I certainly can buy a house with an ounce of gold. That I understand. Profit, there's a $30 delivery charge when ordering from the Royal Canadian Mint. All right, so you order 20 ounces, you get a times 40 is 800 Canadian dollars, plus 30 is 830. What are the stores selling it for? So you've got to basically, it's a dollar and a half a coin. So I assume that's 20, but I don't know. Maybe they limit you to buy 100. I don't know. $30 delivery. Is there tax? Hopefully not. And you go from yeah, we'll check the store prices, but are they the $40, right? So it might be better to buy from the mint because it's a cheaper price plus the 30 versus more at the store. It'll probably wash out with the 30, but we'll see. Following, Professor, yes, people fled fiat. I'm with you. Yeah, well, that's what I understand. That's what Bitcoin is, but it doesn't work because it's not money and it's not accepted. I'll have to check. Okay, Phil, that's freaking outrageous, by the way, Prophet. You should be given a rate by amount of coins. Well, they're probably doing the shipping. So they're probably saying, look, to ship it from the mint, wherever that's in Toronto, to you, the shipping price is $30. And that's probably what the mint's doing because it's the mint. They're not fucking around. No tax is good. It shouldn't be because you're buying money. So there shouldn't be tax on money. I'd buy at least 20 coins. Is that what the mint's making you buy? Okay, Prophet, maybe you factored that in. So if the mint, I'm sure, has a minimum, they're not going to send you 5 coins. So you got to see what the minimum is, times 40 plus $30 versus the store. But do they have it in? Okay, so the first question is, do they have it in supply? So they're just going to pull it off the shelf and mail it to you tomorrow, or is it not instant? They have to make it, and then how long you're going to have to wait for it? That's the key. Versus the store. Does the store have it? So when I go to my store 2 miles away, he's got the inventory. So I give him money. I walk out with the gold or silver. Most of the gold he has is from people coming in, freaking out, going, I got to sell my gold. I need money. And that's where he gets his gold. He can't get it from the mint anymore. It's all sold out, unfortunately. So that's what I'm looking at, going, yeah, the demand for gold's through the roof. But I don't know what the demand for Bitcoin. So if you really want to know your Bitcoin, Phil, find out the demand. If you can find out the demand, then I will give you the 24,000 per, well, it's not even an ounce, per coin, but it only can go up. It's an auction, right? Everything's an auction. And it can only go up if there's demand for the auction of Bitcoin. So if you can find the demand number somewhere, and I don't know, Google it, demand for Bitcoin, how many Bitcoins are there? I know you got one problem. You only have 21 million of them. And if you've already got 20 million in circulation, you're fucked because they can only, once you hit 21 million, then you can't buy anymore, right? They're already out there. So the only way, so there's demand, so they got to buy yours. You got to want to sell it. And that's, with gold, there's big supply. So we're buying the supply out. And then once the supply's sold out, people will have demand for it. That'll jack the price up. So you've got to have a lot of demand, but there's more than 21. Well, I don't know what it is. A ton's 32,000 ounces of gold. So it's really hard to compare gold with Bitcoin, but the demand for gold is way through the roof than Bitcoin. So that's what you want to find out. If you can figure out demand for Bitcoin, then you can figure out price, because price will go up as demand goes up, and that's That's free market economics basics. Profit. There doesn't seem to be a limit on how many you can buy. Well, that's good. Feel I can check exchange reserves, some post demand. I'll look into it. That'll help you because if you see strong demand for it, but I know the government is kind of keeping it down. The government doesn't want any competition for the US dollar. So they don't want gold or Bitcoin or any of this shit to go up and compete with the dollar, nor does JP Morgan or this Fink guy want these other things going up. But there's wanting and controlling it, and you can't control. If they want to go up, if demand's there, they will go up, especially in gold. You have the BRICS countries coming out with their currency backed by gold. If BRICS is coming out with the currency backed by crypto, or crypto is part of the dollar, so they come out with a new dollar and it's got gold in it and silver and copper and crypto. Oh, okay. Well, then, yes, I understand. Then crypto would go up, but I would just assume watch my gold go up. But if you're a crypto player and it's going to be in the BRICS currency, then yes, that'll make the price go up. So again, maybe check that out also. I sold all my Bitcoin in January 21, so I'm just doing it for fun. I still have a lot of Ethereum though. Well, that's also a crypto. And did you make money on the Ethereum? And are you selling that to buy gold? I guess that, but no, I know. I'm just educating the Bitcoin people. For the other people who watch the video, it's just to get the theory down, right? The theory is demand makes prices go up. That's why I disagree with Larry Fink that he thinks he's going to raise the price of oil and that's going to cause inflation because he thinks inflation is increasing the prices. No, it's increasing the money supply, which the effect is the prices go up. But if you raise prices, that's not inflation. So this idiot doesn't even understand that, first of all. Secondly, yeah, the cryptos, we have to see what's going on with that, but be careful with that. It's just see what it is. Yes, I have been funding my metal purchases with ETH. I bought at 400, is still at 1250, but it was at 4,500. Oh, okay. So you made some good profit. So yeah, I would, do you think it's going to stay at 1250? So if you do, maybe you leave your investment in and diversify and the rest buy your gold and silver. But what's going to save you is the gold and silver, not the ETH, unfortunately. But I get the Bitcoin. I get the crypto plays is getting out of the currency. But these are by guys that don't understand gold and silver. And they don't teach it, which is why I'm teaching it, because they don't get gold and silver is the way out of the market and out of slavery. That's what they don't get. And JP Morgan and the government gets it, and that's why they want to keep you in the dollar. So you got to not listen to the noise and go from there. Anyway, so that's what's happening. Good luck on the purchase profit. Do you own any gold or silver profit, or is this your first delve into buying some silver? Selling my ETH, buying silver, at least I don't think I will lose money like is possible. You can't lose money in silver because you're buying it at what, 25, 28 an ounce. How are you going to lose it? When it hits 2,000 an ounce, you're never going to get that kickback off of your ETH or Bitcoin. Been buying metals for years, both gold and silver. Good. Smart, Phil. No gold or silver. Okay, profit. So, now you get to get that feel when you got the silver and you look at it, and like Bobby, who puts it in his bed and takes it on vacation with him and everything. Have been buying more lately, though. Well, I'm glad. I'm protecting you. I'm not. You can't lose. The worst thing that happens, guys, is you have the money in gold and silver and nothing happens and I'm wrong. And then you change it back in for dollars. But that happening is zero. So if you need money, you can change it back. You can't lose on it. It's so cheap. Silver is $25 an ounce. Well, the spot's what, 23? You buy it for 28. How the hell are you going to lose money on it? I mean, it's not going to stay that low, but it's the illusion that there's no demand for it and it's keeping it low from derivatives, from JP Morgan keeping the price low, that you think there's no demand and it's low. But we all know different. Has class officially started without Bobby Bowe? You would say no, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know where he is. I already did a football class. I'm ready to go swimming, get my Chinese food, and watch the Kansas City game at 4:30. So I've been on a couple hours because I did the football one. Then I started talking about Larry Fink and BlackRock, and everybody went away. So I said, okay, I'll do the football video, and then let me do the economic video. Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to win the game, to tell you the truth. If Stidham plays like he did last week, he'll be in the replay gang, I guess. Yeah, I don't know where Bobby is. Not like him to miss on a Saturday. But, I don't like his excuses. I went to the dentist. I'm picking up Chinese food. Come on, Bobby. You got to have the priority. But that's why I do this live. I used to just do videos, but I like the interaction. Otherwise, you could never meet you guys and help you guys, because you wouldn't. How would you interact with me? So this way you can interact. If you want to email me or whatever, and then we go from there. But this is a much better way. Plus, I can look at your questions and answer them, which I couldn't do if I was just doing my own half-hour video on what I wanted to talk about. I fear the Falcons will acquire Derek Carr. No, maybe. They need a quarterback. So does Indy. See, if I'm those guys, I'm draft. Well, I don't know if Rising's coming out. I don't know what quarterbacks are coming out of college, but I would take Hartman out of Wake Forest ahead of all these bums, or Thompson Robinson. I think he's coming out at UCLA. And like I said, Rising, I think I don't know if he's playing or if he's coming out or not. Bo Nix, you got the kid from TCU and the kid from Georgia, and I don't know if the Baylor guy's ready, or some of the others in the Gabriel out of Oklahoma is probably ready. I mean, these guys are good quarterbacks, much better than what's playing much better than the guy playing for what's that team? Look at Peterman for Chicago. This is a pro quarterback, really? There's that other guy, somebody. Arizona has got this, the guy from the Lions, from Purdue. I mean, he sucked. These aren't even pro quarterbacks. It's just amazing how bad these GMs are. Is Rising from Utah coming to draft? I don't know. I heard he's trying to go back for like a 6th year. I don't know if he was injured or what, but I hope he comes out. But he'd be my first quarterback drafted. The guy's a winner all over the place, much ahead of the Alabama and Ohio State guy. But I hope so. We'll find out, I guess. But what I'd make sure I do is run their offenses. Like Urban Meyer, why would he draft Trevor Lawrence? And then what offense is he running for Trevor Lawrence? He sucks. Well, that was a waste of a first-round draft pick. But I was surprised he didn't draft Fields, being out of Ohio State. But he probably didn't. That's probably why he's not there anymore, because he probably wanted Fields. They went with Lawrence. He probably told them to fuck themselves, and then he didn't care, and he coached 7 or 8 games and moved on, because he was like, this isn't the team I want. I don't want Lawrence. I want Fields. I couldn't get him, so see you later. That's, I bet, what happened with Urban Meyer. Hell yeah, Professor's a winner. He wills wins. I like that, and it's hard to put on a chart. Well, he's like, that's what Montana would do. That's why when I talk about Montana over Brady, they're very similar, and they both want to win. And that's why I disagree with Belichick as this great coach. It was Brady who willed the win. Like, we're down, we're going to win. And that's what he did against Seattle. And that's what he did in a lot of these Carolinas and Philadelphia earlies. In these Super Bowls that won, it had nothing to do with Belichick. Look at the first one against the Rams. That was all Brady. Belichick had nothing to do with it. So, I mean, that's why I argue for Montana. And I argue that it was Brady, not Belichick, because it was Belichick had nothing to do with it. Montana did. Montana would do the same thing. You had to kill him to beat him. So that's why I argue for Montana. And he was so clutch. You bet money on Montana. Like, if this week, if the Niners with Montana were laying 7 in a game they had to win for the 1 seed, I'd bet a house on it. I mean, there's no way you would lose that game. He'd put up 35 points in the first quarter on you. That, when he needed to win, look at him in the Super Bowls, never an interception. Phil, here we go with another Brady versus Montana debate. The chat lights up when this topic is started. Well, it's just a matter. It's not really a debate. It's Montana was a winner like Rising, right? So what we're looking for in a quarterback is a guy like Rising, Montana, Brady, the guy who just you had to really stick a stake in his heart to beat him. And the only way Montana lost, he lost the 87 championship game to the Giants when Jim Burt basically knocked him out in the second half. And he was unconscious. Okay, that's like the only way to beat Montana and get him out. Otherwise, he'd kill you. That's all I'm saying. It's not really, you can't really debate it because there was different errors and different rules and different coaches. But that's the type of guy you want. And that's why I jump on Trevor Lawrence and Tagliavoa. They are not that type of guy. In the big games, they disappear. And in the big games, Montana and Rising and Brady show up. That's why I say Trevor Lawrence sucks, Tagliavoa sucks, Fields sucks. Lamar Jackson. When has Lamar Jackson showed up in a big game and won? When? He's usually hurt. He usually wants to run the ball. Montana didn't run the ball. Brady didn't run the ball. They hit the guy, and they look at the 87. Was it the 87 Super Bowl with Cincinnati or 88? I think it was the 88. And what does he do? Montana drives him down 90 yards and hits John Taylor in the end zone with 20 seconds left to win the game. You think Lamar Jackson could do that, or Trevor Lawrence or Tagliavoa? But Montana did it. That's why I stick up for him. That's the type of guy you want. He knew the play. He knew the defense. He knew he was going to Taylor, and he hit it. He didn't fuck around. The guy didn't drop the ball. He put it right in his chest, right in his hands. The guy catches it for a touchdown. That's why Montana was great. That's the point people miss. You compare him to Brady for some reason, and it's not really a comparison. They're totally different things, but guess who Brady marks his game after? Montana. I love how Montana's Super Bowl were legit, but some of Brady's somehow aren't. Belichick was stealing the other team's signals. He lost with the Chiefs to Professor. What? He lost with the Chiefs to Professor. I know it was only 1 year. Lawrence has looked good recently. Yeah, he's running the ball a lot. Don't get fooled by Lawrence throwing 5-yard passes and running that he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying Brady's aren't legit. Montana would never have been down 24-3 to Atlanta. Let's say that. Phil, he lost in championship game the one and only year he was with the Chiefs. Montana? Yeah, okay. I get it. But the Niners. So he beat the 84 Bears. Brady hasn't done that. So I hate when that Skype thing comes on. Fuck that. I should get rid of Skype. No, I don't think it was a ding to it at all. The Chiefs weren't really good that year. He got him to the championship game. Um, but it's what he did. He goes to 4 Super Bowls. He doesn't throw an interception. They kill San Diego. He comes from behind to beat Cincy, and then he kills Denver, which everybody killed Denver, so that's not a big deal. Even Phil Simms beat Denver, but that's all I'm saying. He was a great quarterback. But again, we're getting away from Rising having the qualities of these two guys. That's what we're really talking about. And that's what you look for as guys that win the games. Thompson Robinson was doing that at UCLA. Look at the guy. Duggan does that for TCU, and the Georgia guy does that. He did it last week. The Georgia guy did it. I don't see the Michigan guy doing it. The Georgia guy, Stenson, absolutely, I would be drafting that guy high. He's a winner. I don't know what you want to say about him, but what the hell? Oh, he won't be a good pro quarterback. No, we'll go with Davis Mills. He's better. Phil, well, how come Brady doesn't get credit for leading a team to like 5 Super Bowls? He didn't win. At least he got them there. Okay, you're right. We got off topic. Brady lost 5 Super Bowls is what he lost the 2 to the Giants because Montana wouldn't have lost to the Giants. That's what I'm saying. So Brady lost 2 to the Giants and 1 to Philly. Montana never lost. So that's what makes it a little bit different. When he got to this, that's why I'm saying he went to 4 Super Bowls, didn't even throw an interception. When Montana got to the big game, he won it. As you just pointed out, Brady got to the big game 3 times and lost it and had trouble with Atlanta. Montana didn't. That's really what I'm saying. Yes, he got there more, but there's no competition for New England like there was for Montana. You didn't have to face Lawrence Taylor. You didn't have to face the Bear defense. I mean, that Brady had trouble with Ed Reed and Lewis. He had trouble with the Steelers one year. He had trouble with Denver and Von Miller. So he had trouble against good defenses. That's all I'm saying. But it doesn't matter. We don't know what Montana would have done. He didn't go to 12 like Brady. Brady went to 12 Super Bowls, really? Wow. Well, yeah, he just went to Tampa. But that's beside the point. There's more. It's a different time. Different. It's like basketball in the 80s. People want to say Jordan's the greatest, but then he never beat Bird, never beat Isaiah. So I don't know how anybody can say that. Bill Walsh West Coast offense is what Montana's so great. I don't know about that. Montana was great at Notre Dame. It's fine. We can go into circles all day. It's not important. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to go and I'm going to eat. I'm going to go swim. I got to go pick up Chinese food. So have a good day today, gentlemen. Kansas City. Now keep an eye on Kansas City. If they're losing late, you bet Buffalo in a teaser immediately while the line's at 6. Now, if KC wins, then the line probably goes down to 4-3. And then we got to talk tomorrow if we still take Buffalo. If we still think they hate New England, they're going to beat New England like they beat Miami when they don't have anything to play for or not. Or do they have to beat Cincinnati in this new scenario? This whole thing's crazy. Tennessee, Jacksonville doesn't matter. We took the dog. But keep in mind, KC could lose very easily to Oakland if Stidham plays like he did last week. And KC had struggled with Denver, and they struggled with Russell Wilson, ran 3 touchdowns in. So KC does not have a great defense. That's why we go over in the game. But if Buffalo can be number 1, we're going to bet the house on Buffalo in a teaser. But so you got to do it during the game. Once the game's over and KC loses, that spread goes to 10. Now you fucked yourself. Now maybe you can still win, but now I got to lay 4. I'd rather lay even with Buffalo needing it for the 1 seed. So keep that in mind. The end of the KC game, if it's Oakland, jump on Buffalo before the game ends, before that line moves, because they won't move it until after the game's over. Thanks for the class. You're welcome, Phil. KC Oakland should be close and high scoring, hopefully. Well, it'll be high scoring. And I figure 34-31, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't think KC goes on the road. Oakland hates KC. I don't think Oakland's going to lay down. And here comes KC, and they're going to lose by 20. It won't happen. I'm telling you, KC's going to be lucky to win. They got lucky to beat Denver as 14-point favorites last week. This is not Oakland with the Stidham's anything like you did against the fucking Niners. Definitely, I think Oakland can easily win this game. So keep an eye out. Again, www.teaserking.com. 3 locks going this weekend. If you want them, you can get my email at www.teaserking.com. We'll be back tomorrow with a look at what happened today and then the football for tomorrow. Look at the line movements. And I don't know what they're going to do. Are the Giants playing? Is the Niners? Well, the Niners have to play a little. We'll see what's going on with Philly. We assume Hurts is playing, but he's still questionable. And then things like is San Diego trying? Cincinnati, we know, is pissed off, so we're jumping on Cincinnati now. Oakland has been rejuvenated. Well, they still have a bad coach. You take care, Prof. Good luck on your silver. Let me know how it happens. Riding with you and Oakland, Prophet. Let's go. Okay. Good luck, everybody, today. Have a great day.